Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. So today I'm in the kitchen again and that's because I'm gonna do another food storage, food cooking type video. Now I did record this 3 different ways because I wanted to talk about my dehydrator, my new Kusori dehydrator that I'm going to be talking about today, but I also wanted to talk about thirsty chicks and just the desperation that causes destitution in relationships. But every time I try to combine the two, it's just too long a video. At this point, there's like 40 minutes of content that I don't think anybody wants to sit through. So I am going to be splitting that in half. And then I'm going to be today I'll do the dehydrated fruits and vegetables and fish and all that, and then I'm gonna do the next video I'm gonna do is about just dehydrated women, thirsty women who actually are a problem to their friend groups. And I'm gonna loop Foodie Beauty in there because there's been some updates that since the last time I spoke about her, there's just been a lot happening, and I find that she demonstrates a lot of the issues that you can see when a woman is insecure and willing to, desperately cling to a man. So with that said, today I'm going to talk to you about the Kusori. I'm going to show you some processes that I've done to dehydrate some food. Right now, if you hear some ambient noise, it's because the dehydrator is running. I tell you, I have not stopped dehydrating stuff since I've been given this since Christmas. So if you're into this kind of stuff, just stick around. After the intro, we're trying out things because when you live. So if you've been watching my content, you know that I'm really interested in food security and being able to grow and store food wherever I am. Even if I'm in a little box, I'm gonna cut out a window and I'm gonna grow something, right? And eventually I want to show others how to do it because there's a lot of food insecurity and there's a lot of food deserts in North America that we're not talking about. So dehydration and canning are really exciting activities for me. I just love being able to, focus on what I can provide for myself and my family and having a backup plan. Honestly, I'm a bit of a prepper. I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those people who thinks that there's gonna be a doomsday, there's gonna be an ENT, there's gonna be a problem, and we're gonna need to be in bunkers. And I mean, if you have watched Leave the World Behind.
Why did you come here? In my line of work, you have to understand the patterns that govern the world. They can help you see the future. And I knew something was coming. Understand what he Batman pull up, Batman pull up, Batman pull up, Batman pull up.
I've tried some fish jerky, I have tried leftovers, I've tried fruits, and I've tried vegetables. So I'm going to be talking about the fruits and vegetables and the fish that I've tried, and actually some other jerky. So I'm trying out things because I do have the freezer, a small freezer full of food. And while I'm here in Canada, we live here in Canada where in the winter it's fine because if the power goes out, you can just store your things on the balcony and they won't go bad. The problem with the rest of the year is that if you have a freezer full of food and the power goes out, we cook with our food, we store our food with I know about. So if the power goes out, like in the warmer months, and you're living in an apartment, then all the food that you've secured will go bad because you can't light a balcony fire. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be legal. And you don't have a backyard to say, pop things on the barbecue or start drying things or whatever. So the process that I'm doing here is to make sure that the food that I have in my freezer, I can can them or dry them and pack them on the shelf and make sure that the shelf life is extended. Now, in this process, I don't have a vacuum sealer. I'm going to secure one soon because I want to be able to do things on, put them in boxes and flatten them down. The jars I find are taking up a lot of space. In the canning process, you just put your food, you cook it, you put it in a jar, or you package it, you put it in some water, and you wait for the heat to just seal the jar, and you just make sure that it's fully locked, airtight, and you can label it and you use it and at the appropriate time, right? With dehydration, it's pretty much the same, except you don't have to boil the jars, and you are just putting it into the steady heat, and it's low heat, and it just dries out the liquid. So you put them in a jar when you're done, or you can put them in a vacuum seal bag, and you can use them within, as I mentioned, and I really love the thing. The pros are you can set it and forget it. Like, you can just put your things in, set the timer, and then come back and it stops, and the what do you call that? The leftover heat will just keep going and cooking things. Dehydrated food can be stored up to years, months or years, as long as there's no exposure to moisture. You don't want it to have moisture because that will cause bacteria. You don't want bugs, of course. You don't want too much heat or too much light, because then you're gonna have photo degradation, which is just like the discoloration of the food. So you like when you boil broccoli and stuff and it changes color. Or you don't want any kind of air, because oxidation, again, spoiling. And here, I'm going to put something here where you can see the potential shelf life that's taken from Google. This is from some of the basic foods that once they're dehydrated, you can keep them. So fruits will last up to a year in an airtight container, like a jar. And meat can last up to 2 months in airtight containers, and up to 6 months if you vacuum seal them. And then other things you can vacuum seal and have them up to 1 to 2 years. Now, when I started using the dehydrator, it made me think of the Bulk Barn. It's a Canadian bulk store that has these dried fruits and beans and vegetables and all these snacks. And I used to really love going to the Bulk Barn. But it's a big open space where all the things are open, and you just kind of scoop them up. And it makes you wonder, like, how long have they had those things? Anyway, another benefit of dehydrating your food is that the end result of the foods, especially the fruits, it's so intense, it's hyper palatable, and it's almost like a candy, but elevated. So like the pineapple, the pineapple is so good. Like, it's still kind of chewy a little bit, and it's got that kind of, it's tangy and sweet. And I did choose a pineapple that was semi-ripe, so it's so good. The apples are great, the oranges are great. I haven't tried many of the other, like, beans and the meat aside from the jerkies, but we'll get into that in a second. I'm showing you the dehydration process for some fish, some pineapples, oranges, cooked beans, vegetables, and I think I did also some pork jerky, right? Some just pork tenderloin. Now, I have made fish and beef jerky in the oven in the past, and they turned out great. I loved them, but some people in the online noticed that their oven didn't maintain the temperature, because you need a steady low temperature, and that the meat didn't get dry enough to sit on a shelf. Now, I did not test it, because usually when we make the jerky, we just eat the jerky. So using the Kusori, I would say that it was really simple. And it was kind of plug and go, and the shelves slide right into place. The temperature stays put, it's constant. All the parts were supplied, and there was a plastic, what I'm calling a drip tray, for wetter things, for more greasy products, or maybe for smaller products so they don't fall through the shelves. There are 6 shelves in total, plus the 2 drip trays, and you can use all of these things at the same time. So when you're dehydrating meat, the temperature is 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and vegetables are to be cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Which I later found out, if I just looked at the book, it would be 12 hours. For the fruit, the recommended temperature, again, I said, is 135 or 145, and the same time that's allowed is 6 to 8 hours. But the pineapples took 12 hours, and they were cut in small pieces, as you'll see in the video. So the steps are drying fruits and vegetables. First, you want to wash and cut your fruits and vegetables to even sizes, because you want to make sure that they're done at the same time or with the same amount of doneness. If you are doing apples and bananas and those kinds of fruits and vegetables that change color, you want to add some apple juice to them just to make sure that they're not changing color. And if you're doing like broccoli and different vegetables, you want to just immerse them into some boiling water, maybe 3 to 4 minutes, to maintain the color, and then put them in cold water or ice just to cool them down. That's called blanching, and you just want to make sure that you don't lose the color. Next, you want to add the spices or flavoring, and then you just want to lay them out on the tray, single layers, don't overlap them. Now if you are doing meat, wait, we'll talk about that after, sorry. All right, so the next thing is you want to turn on the dehydrator, and you want to set the timer and the temperature. Like I said, the kasori is about you can do 145, 8 to 12 hours for your meat, and 6 to 8 for fruits. Again, I'm mixing up the two. You want to test for doneness, and you just want to let a little piece cool. It's not going to be that hot, but you just want to touch it and see if it's dry to the touch. And then if you are doing fruits, you want to condition them. What that means is that you want to put them into a jar, loosely packed, and then every 2 or 3 days you want to shake them up and see if there's any liquid, any condensation, if there's anything going on, or if they're sticking to the jar, and just toss them back into the dehydrator and let them dry some more. About drying meats and fish, finally. So I tried marinated salmon and mackerel. I also cooked turkey, and then I did a dry rub. Well, my son did a dry rub with some pork tenderloin, and I use the kasori for overnight dehydration of these products. Later, I'm going to do some chicken back. Now, those of you who are not from the Caribbean or Africa or places where we use chicken back, I use it for soups and sometimes stews and whatever. And I found a bunch of it at Ocean's, the local, the Toronto, what would you call it? Ethnic store. And so I've browned them a little bit in the oven, and I'm going to chop them up, and I'm going to put them in the dehydrator, and I'm going to stock them and keep them, because again, even if the freezer goes out, if you've pre-cooked some of your meats, you can still do a little barbecue or anything like that to save some, and then dry some. Dry some in the elements, if you understand what I mean. You can season your meat for dehydrating. As I mentioned before, you can marinate it, or you can do a dry rub, and you can always do season to taste. Just season it how you want, how you like it. So to start, you're gonna clean your meat, cut it to size or keep it whole, and you wanna wash it, clean it up, and then season it to taste. Then you're gonna marinate it for 4 to 12 hours. It's up to you again if you want it to soak all the way down to the bone, if there's any bones, if you just want it to just have the touch of the seasoning. Now you wanna remove the meat from the marinade. You don't wanna leave it wet. You wanna kind of dab off the extra sauce and the marinade and everything like that, and then leave it to sit. I find it works well if you leave it to sit for an hour or so in the air or in the fridge to just get that air drying. Then you want to put it again on one layer and make sure that everything is not overlapping, because they're going to dry and they're going to fuse together, and then where there's fusion, there's probably going to be moisture, so we don't really want that. And then you're going to set your timer, set it and forget it. The next day, all night, you'll smell mackerel and salmon and goodness and yumness, and put some garlic to dehydrate at the same time, and just any herbs you want, and it smells so good. So once your food is dehydrated enough, you can touch it and it's not that greasy or not wet, then you want to store it in the jars or the vacuum sealer, just the same as you did the vegetables. Always check to see if there's condensation, and if the meat isn't really cooked, excuse me, if the meat isn't really cooked, then you can always just go back and put it in. I would try to put it back in, or just put it in the fridge and then you guys can eat it faster. The one thing though, you want to make sure that the jars are airtight. Overall, I would say I enjoyed drying the fruits and vegetables, but I'm gonna try some drier fish, less fatty fish, and I'm definitely gonna do salmon again, and see how dry I can get it to make it store on the shelf. I do have some mackerel, and I think this weekend I'm gonna do the chicken back and the mackerel. We ate all the jerky. We maybe have some pork jerky left. It always just goes the same time. Next time I'm gonna dehydrate the fish a little bit longer. And what else? I'm gonna try some different types of meats. I'm gonna try to do bacon in there because it's super fatty, and I want to see how to work with fatty foods in the dehydrator. If I was still doing cornstarch, it would be amazing to try out water starch, and I think I might try it anyway, even though I probably won't need it. All right, tips. Let me see if I have any tips so far. Condition your dry fruit. Remember to pack them loosely in the jar and shake them up to see if there's any sticking or if there's any condensation. And then if they're wet or if they're not done, just put them back in the dehydrator and dry them some more. You can use the oven to dehydrate food. I've done it. I haven't done like egg powders and potato powders and that kind of stuff. I've done potatoes in the dehydrator and bananas, and I think those things, if you don't cook them, they're gonna taste funny, because even the green banana tasted all kinds of weird. I know, that's not it. Cut everything around the same size that's going in at the same time, because you want to be able to get them done at the same time. You don't want to put one tray in for the next 5 hours, because you're wasting electricity. Well, that's my take on it. Having used the oven to dehydrate things, I found the whole process both ways incredibly easy, and I enjoy it. Like I said, it's been almost a month and I'm still dehydrating things on the daily. Now, I'll be making tons of different things in the kasori, but I probably won't share them because, I mean, who wants to see this over and over again? But if I figure out how to make the jars, like the jerky and the good things last, I'll tell you guys, because my sons are... All right, I'm gonna go. I have things to do. I will see you guys in the next one. And, you know, share this video if you like. Just hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. It's all the same, you know. If you love the content, you have questions, if you have tried using the dehydrator, if you're gonna use the dehydrator, and tag me in it, you know. Let me know what your experience is. If you've tried different things, unusual things in the dehydrator, and you want to share that too, that'd be amazing, because I'm up for the experimentation. You know, share the video with people who are looking to buy a dehydrator. I think my son spent about oh shit, me shut it off. I just touched it and shut it off. Anyway, I think my son spent about $250 or so on this, so it's not expensive at all. And yeah, you can store food and not have to worry about it spoiling. And, you know, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. So that is it for today. As usual, guys, you know, be loved, be well, be balanced and happy. At the very least, you know, be hydrating some stuff and storing your food so you can go into the bunker.